You know when you see people in the gym using the Smith machine to squat and they put their feet, I don't know, half a meter forward, and then they squat in that kind of position, you know, to target the quads or whatever the case might be, whatever the belief is. Well, I kind of feel like that sometimes when I squat, in the sense that where I'm pushing, where my body is pushing and where the line of gravity is, or in the case of the Smith machine, where the line, where the rail is, where the squat rack is going up and down, those two lines are not going in the same direction. That's how I sometimes feel. Like, you know, I don't have the mobility in my hips, in my ankles, in whatever else is going on when you squat. I don't have the mobility, I don't have the stability through the core. And sometimes I feel like I can't even give my absolute all. I can't put everything, my whole might into the bar because I feel like I'll just push backwards or push forward. You know what I mean? Like my forces add up in such a way that the vector, oh my God, I'm pulling out physics terms here. The vector is not in the same direction opposing the gravity. So there's like a discrepancy between the two lines of where gravity is heading, which is straight down, and where you are wanting to push because of leverages, because of crappy mobility days. And those days are absolute hell for me. Now, on the days where I come in and I feel really poppy, it kind of occurred to me that those days is where the two lines are actually really close to each other. So where gravity is going and where I'm going against it is actually quite close. So this is where we as lifters, as strength people, you know, we think about muscles, we think about all these different things, but sometimes it's just plain old physics. Where is the net force vector going for you? Every time I squat, this is kind of how I've been born and how I walk the earth. When I go into the squat, this is what happens to me. I get bent over and I have a lot of my weight on the balls of my feet. And so when I go to push, the bar tracks forward of the midline of my feet. So there's tracking of the bar forward. And then when I push, what I really want to do is I want to push slightly, not perfectly vertical. I want to push the bar like it was in a Smith machine, kind of like forwards, a little bit forwards, like gravity was coming down in an angle. That's kind of what I see when I see people squatting the Smith machine. I'm like, okay, so they are changing the gravity, changing where the foot position is. The machine is stabilizing them in such a way that they can, whatever the freaking mobility restriction is, it's fine. Mr. Smith is going to sort you out. You push wherever you want to push and the bar will go. When you're in a free weight situation, the gravity doesn't give a shit. It's coming straight down. Whatever you want to do, you do. But there's going to be leaking of force everywhere. And this is what I think about when I think about leaking of force. Every joint in our body, every muscle is contributing to this big soup of force or forces. Now, where they all add up as a team is where you want the gravity to be, right? Or you want all those forces to somehow equal up and you're going straight up into gravity against the force of gravity, which is going straight down. Some days, man, I come in and I have these restrictions and I've always kind of thought it was the posterior chain because it kind of locks up my Achilles, locks up the calf muscle, the hamstring is also tight, and I do the standing toe reach test with my straight kind of legs and I'm like, God damn, man, I can't even like reach down to grab my toes, let alone accept the barbell and go into a hip flexion exercise with near maximum weights. It just doesn't work. The other machine that kind of comes into my mind is the hack squat machine. You know, so that's kind of like on a 45-degree type of thing where, you know, the gravity doesn't matter anymore. It's the rail of the machine. So you're going kind of in a 45-degree and you can put your feet wherever the hell you want. Whatever mobility restrictions you have, it doesn't matter. You just put and you push. So this is kind of what I also see with leg presses. All these different machines is they accommodate your crappy mobility. Whatever the forces are, you can adjust your feet accordingly you go. But when you're standing with a barbell on your back, you can't put your feet wherever the hell you want to. Because if you put your feet forward and you sit back, you're going to fall backwards, right? So this is where the discrepancies are between machine lifts and free weight lifts. So not to say that machine lifts can, you know, piss off and go to hell. They have a place, I guess, especially on days like, you know, when you come in and you feel absolutely locked up and you can't do anything. So what's it going to be? You don't do anything and you go home, or you jump on a machine, you do some work like that. Obviously, there's other things we can do body weight wise, like you can do split squats, because all of a sudden the force doesn't matter, the sagittal plane doesn't matter, like because you've got one leg forward, one leg back, and whatever the forces are, you've got a nice wide base, and you can kind of, work out the forces. I've often looked for a definition of what it feels to be poppy for me. When do I feel really, really good? And on days like that, I don't want to say like twice a year I feel really strong. I feel strong many, many days of the week or of the month or the year, whatever. It's just some days I just can't stay on the damn road, man. I'm drifting all over the place. Freaking 2 tires are off the damn tarmac. I'm over here, I'm over there. I'm hitting the barrier. I can't get the damn accuracy. I can't get the precision on those days where I can just shoot the gun and the bullet leaves the barrel with the perfect spin and goes and hits the target. That's what I want. It's not the fact that I don't have a big gun, that I don't have the force, I don't have the big cannon, to shoot. It's just the cannon is on some weird freaking platform. It's dancing all over the place. And when I go smash the freaking firing button, the trigger, I just shoot up and completely miss the target. That's kind of how I think about strength as well. So there are many things involved in you shooting the cannon straight. Stability, core. It's such a big, big thing. And when I'm doing these high repetition movements, squats and push-ups mainly, I feel like there's so much practice. I feel like there's so much blood and there is so much hypertrophy going on that it doesn't really matter. Any of these reps don't really matter because there's thousands of them. But when you're doing a 5x5 with super heavy weight and that is the bulk of your session, every one of those reps means so much to that training session. It's like a 1/25th of the whole training session, right? But each of those other reps when you're doing with bodyweight squats, it's like they almost don't matter, and you have so many opportunities to kind of find that groove, the grease in the groove. And this is something else that I think, I don't pay attention to enough. I think it's just that you just have more opportunity to practice, and you kind of allow the body to find the perfect groove, the perfect vector of force for you to accomplish that task. So pushing up, it's a push up, a bench press, it's a push. Where do you want the elbows to be when I'm pushing? And everyone's different leverages and whatever. And it's kind of like when you're working with 3x10s or whatever, or 5x5s, there's so little practice there that, whatever the restriction is for the day, you might kind of be going around a certain point of the lift or whatever, and you're not getting enough practice. But when I'm doing 1,000 freaking push-ups, I feel like my elbows and my wrists and everything's stacked exactly where I want it. And my mind is kind of like, okay, this is where we're feeling strong. So when I go to 1 rep max, when I go to a near maximum lift, it's like second nature to where I'm putting my elbows. It's like, we call this central nervous system proficiency, working out the motor neuron anagram, all this sort of stuff. But I think there's more going on than just, pump work or hypertrophy work. It's just more freaking practice. It's more practice for the body to accept, to kind of finally understand where the best position is for the path of least resistance. And that is exactly oppose the vector of gravity. So you want to go exactly against where gravity is. And when you do 1,000 freaking reps, your body kind of works out the muscular imbalances for you to go onto that groove and to get the job done. This is something I think we miss out when we are training with super heavy weight because you can't do a lot of reps with it. And I think to go one step further, when you're going against that gravity vector, I'm saying vector a whole lot, man. I don't even know freaking what the term means, really. It's been that many years after physics. But when you're going perfectly against that force of gravity, I think the body doesn't hurt as much. Like I have not had hip pain now for I don't know how long. It's been months. And I'm like, why is that? Maybe because I'm just stacked. My body's going exactly against the foot. There's no if you think about like a building, right? I mean, I'm not an engineer at all, and I don't even know what freaking vector means, but think about building a building that's kind of leaning to the side, right? The gravity is going straight down, but you're building this leaning to the side. So obviously the structure is at risk of falling over, and there's a lot of forces going laterally all of a sudden because you are not opposing the gravity directly. So if you're lifting weights like that, building, of course, something's going to hurt. You know, whatever the side that you're copping it sweetly is going to start to hurt. But when you're going against gravity perfectly, everything's, you know, taking force equally, and there's no pain. It's like equal wear and tear on the whole system. And it's easy for the body to hypertrophy the right parts so you can overcome that force. Anyway, hopefully that makes all sense. But that's kind of the thoughts that I've been having, you know, trying to work out why high reps are so beneficial. I mean, there's many different angles of it. This is one of them, and it's kind of how I thought about it. It's not just fluff. It's more than that, man. Like, I'm practicing, you know, I'm working out what the body needs. The body has so much opportunity to work out the weaknesses. Anyway, that's what's on my guys. Let me get out of here. I got to shower and go to work, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.